So let's go take a look at the homework. I actually went back to problem number 6 just because I want to make sure you'll understand this one. What are the two decisions that you take for performing a hypothesis test? Remember, they only two, you always start with assuming your null hypothesis is true, right? The only two things that you do is either you reject your null hypothesis or you fail to reject your null hypothesis. These are the only two things that you'll do. The only two things that you do is, oh, excuse me for this one, either you reject your null hypothesis or you fail to reject. Where is fail to reject? You reject null hypothesis or you fail to reject your null hypothesis. Because if you're rejecting null hypothesis, automatically you're accepting your alternative. If you're failing to reject your null hypothesis, that means by default, the alternative is kicked off. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this one. Perfect. So I'm going to move on to a couple of questions here. You can do that. We did, okay. A null and alternative hypothesis are given. Determine whether the hypothesis test is left, right, or two-tailed. Do you remember what I told you when you're trying to determine if it's left, right, or two? I would go ahead and strike off my null hypothesis because that's not going to help me in any way. I only look at my alternative. What sign does it have? Less than. Less than is left-tailed. If I have a greater than, then that would be, where is it? Right-tailed. Okay? Okay, keep going, keep going. Don't tell me this is not working now. I am looking at problem number 16. Determine, actually 14, 15, 16 are pretty much the same kind. You have to start with these steps. Determine whether the claim statement below represents null, alternative, or alternative. If a hypothesis test is performed, how should you interpret a decision? Reject null hypothesis or fail to reject? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay. So I'm going to see a researcher claims that the standard deviation of the life of a certain type of lawn mower is less than 3.4. Okay. So a researcher claims standard deviation. So it's not mu, it's standard deviation is less than 3.4. That's his claim. Remember the claim, I will write it as CL. CL. And so once I have the claim, what's my step one? Is this null or alternative? It does not have an equal to sign, so it's my alternative. So HA. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill up my null hypothesis. H naught, remember everything stays the same. I use standard deviation because they said standard deviation. If they say mean, you have to use mu. This also is 3.4. Remember what changes? Only the sign. If this is less than, your null hypothesis would be opposite, greater than or equal to. Don't forget the equal to sign, because if that is not there, your whole null hypothesis will be wrong. Your null hypothesis is identified with the equal to sign. Once I have that, I'm going to say, okay, does the claim represent null or alternative? The claim represents alternative here. Since the claim does not contain equal to, does not contain the statement of equality, it represents my alternative. Very good, right? How should you interpret a decision that rejects the null hypothesis? For this, I want to go ahead and open up the chart that we saw. So I'm going to pause this here and open that up. Okay, so now what I want y'all to show you is how do I do this problem? So you will definitely have your claim, your alternative, and null. Along with that, you will have this chart right here. Without this chart, it is very hard for y'all to even write. It's very hard for y'all to even decide what is your claim, because you cannot come up with something like this. So let's go ahead and see what this is. How should you interpret a decision that rejects the null hypothesis? Okay, so they're saying I am rejecting the null hypothesis. Okay, so I know I'm rejecting the null hypothesis, but let me go ahead and see what my claim is. In this case, my claim is alternative. You see that? Alternative is my claim. Okay, so I am rejecting, but alternative is my claim. So when you reject and alternative is your claim, what do? You use this particular box. You see that? When alternative is your claim and you're rejecting your null hypothesis, you would say there is enough evidence. I'm going to go back to that. To support the claim, to support, you'll use the exact same words. So you'll say there is enough evidence to support the claim. So first thing you will check, what is your, I'll do it one more time just so that you all know. So first thing you will see, what is your claim? Your claim is H naught or HA. HA is my claim, so I'm not going to look at these. This is gone. You see what I'm doing? This whole thing is gone. Okay? So when HA is my claim, I only look at the HA column. What am I doing? I'm rejecting or failing to reject? I am rejecting. When I reject, what do I use? You use only these words. Okay? Let's go ahead and see if that is correct. Very good. How should you interpret a decision that fails to reject the null hypothesis? Okay, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to erase all the beautiful drawings that I did. Oh, come on. Okay. Again, what is my claim? HA is my claim. So I'm going to erase all of this. I know I'm not looking at these, correct? What am I doing now? I am failing to reject. When I fail to reject, what are the words that I use? There is not enough evidence to support the claim. So there is insufficient evidence to support the claim. And I will check my answer. Okay? So please make sure you have this chart in front of you and you know what your claim is, because I do not want you all to email me or text me asking, how do I know what my claim is? That means you did not listen to the beginning of the chapter. Again, I will repeat, how do you know what the claim is? It will be clearly given to you. It says a researcher claims. So what they claim will be your claim. Okay? Problem number 18. Let me just scroll this one down here. Oh, come on. Okay. The mean IQ of statistic teachers is greater than 130. Okay. If a hypothesis test is performed, how should you interpret a decision that rejects the null hypothesis? You cannot do anything until you write what your claim is. So the mean IQ is greater than, so when they said mean, the mean is greater than 130. This is your claim. What they give you is your claim. This is your null or your alternative. You should know this by now. This is your alternative because it does not have an equal to sign. Now what would you do? Go ahead and plug in your null hypothesis. Without these, you cannot be doing your problem. So it's again 130. Remember, the only thing that's different is if this is greater than, this is less than or equal to. So in this case, what is my claim? My alternative is my claim. And they're asking me to interpret the results. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And I know alternative is my claim. So I'm going to close this part and see what they're asking me to do. What are they asking me to do? They are saying, how should you interpret a decision that rejects the null hypothesis? So rejecting null hypothesis, when HA is your claim, I will say there is enough evidence to support the claim. So there is sufficient evidence to support the claim. Okay? All right. If you have any questions, please pause the video, go back, read your textbook, look at your notes, and please look at my office hours because I had students emailing me at 10 o'clock just before it's due and asking me to answer the questions. From now on, I will be answering questions during office hours. The phones are getting really overwhelmed. My text wouldn't stop. So please don't wait till the last minute. I also have a family and I also have kids. So please, please, please keep that in mind. If it's not 8 o'clock in the night to 9 o'clock, I'll be more than happy to answer. But after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., please, please keep that in mind that I will be having other things to do as well. Okay?